Hello and welcome to Spells, Spoons, and Alchemy. I am V, and this is our first official video here on the channel. And I'm just going to come out and be honest and straight with you guys. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know how the videos are going to be. I can tell you one thing, and if you listen to my intro audio, if you haven't, I would go check that out. So that'll give you a kind of a rundown on what this channel is going to be about. But I I'm not good at talking sometimes. So we're going to be real casual here. We're not going to have edited videos. I'm probably just going to speak right through, and there'll be mistakes and there'll be a whole lot of stuff. But yeah, we're keeping it real here. I, I am an ADHD woman who is trying to navigate a new existence, and things are starting to make sense, but then things are also chaotic, which is the reason why I opened this channel up. Because neurodivergent menopause is not something that a lot of people talk about. So that's what Spells, Spoons, and Alchemy is going to be about. Again, if you haven't listened to the intro audio, go check that out. It'll give you a good rundown. But this being the first official video here on the channel, I figured the best way to do it is for you to kind of get used to my face and learn a little bit about me and how I got here and what's been going on and, all that stuff. So I do have a script. It is in front of me, but it's kind of in outline. So hopefully I'll be able to stick to it all. Again, I there are days where I'm not very good at speaking, and words don't always come out the way they should. So that being said, transparency done. I just want to basically start this whole channel by giving you a little bit more of my background. Um, and we're going to start with my diagnosis of ADHD, which started in my early 30s. Um, Now, I mean, I spent, some of you guys are going to relate to this because, especially those of you who are late diagnosed or suspect that you might be on the neurodivergent spectrum. Um, I went through my life just thinking I was bad at life. And I moved out at 19. I was, I guess, adulting as best as I could. And, moved a lot of places. I think I had 11 apartments in 3 different states in the first 10 years of me being by myself, after I moved out at 19. And I moved to New York, where I am located right now. And, I thought I was getting better at adulting. My life was getting to a point where things were okay. I met my husband, my late 20s, we got married. And then in my 30s, early 30s, I don't know what happened. I was probably like, I don't know, 30, 31. And I got to a point which now, where I'm at right now, in hindsight, I was probably in burnout, because I kind of lost a lot of executive function, and I had to make some changes. But before I got there, I had I was in a space in my apartment where I couldn't maintain my house anymore, and I would sit there I just got married, everything was great, but it would just get to the point where I would just stand in the middle of my house and paralyzed, absolutely paralyzed, with my hands on my head, not knowing what to do next. I couldn't clean. I just couldn't maintain things. I had this new life, you know, just got married, and things just weren't working out for me. So we made the decision for me to go see somebody. My husband thought I was dealing with depression, which I probably was. Um, Come to find out, it's probably been like a clinical depression for most of my life because I have had kind of this roller coaster of depression most of my life, especially from teenage years on. So we decided to go to a psychiatrist, and I went to a psychiatrist, and we were thinking I was going to get on some antidepressants or something like that. And it turns out that he diagnosed me with ADHD, which was kind of like a wow moment for me, where things started to make a little bit of sense. And he didn't really want to put me on a lot of medication because he was, I guess, an ethical psychiatrist. He didn't want to pump medicine in me. So we tried to work a couple things. So I first went on caffeine um, as a way to manage the ADHD, and and it was kind of working, but it got to the point where I was taking like it's like 14 caffeine pills a day. Um, it just wasn't, it was just making me tired. Like it was working, but then I was constantly tired, which seems a little bit backwards because caffeine, stimulant, but that kind of confirmed to me and the psychiatrist that, yeah, you probably have ADHD. And we were gonna, I guess, revisit it a little bit. He thought maybe there was a little bit of bipolar in there. He thought there was a little bit of OCD in there. I was like ADHD with a sprinkle of all these little things. So because I'm not one for taking medicine, I decided that, okay, we can't do the caffeine anymore because I can't walk around being exhausted all the time and wanting to sleep. So I decided to start, um, basically, I guess it would probably be CBT. I think that's what it's called. I don't know. But I started to do it myself. And the first thing I found was flylady.net. And I don't know if it's still around, but it was really good in helping me find different patterns. So I was doing all of this stuff, and it was just, I don't know, I just felt like I was just doing a lot just to be normal. And I was kind of doing it. There was a relief there, made sense. My past made sense to me, why I was not doing well in school a lot of times, why they had to hold me back in school when I was in sixth grade. So a lot of things started to make sense. But yeah, there were still some things that were missing, but it was a good start. And I figured I just had to get a handle on this, and we'll just figure out what was going to happen. I mean, I was grateful to have an answer, but it wasn't the entire picture. It wasn't the entire puzzle. And it it was just a starting point. So what so after that happened, I just figured out that I have to make this work. I did my research on ADHD. I My husband was helpful. Um, but I no, I was spending my time just what I felt because of my low self-esteem from being neurodivergent my whole life and not knowing. I just thought I was just kind of half-assed. I wasn't going to be good at it, so I'll just manage what I could. Um, and that took me quite a ways. Now I wanted to read my little notes here because I'm getting my thoughts are getting a little bit lost. So, um, I was basically, like I said, managing, trying to just function as normally as possible. But I was still tired all the time. Never knew why. I just figured because I had been ill in a lot in my 20s, it was just left over. I wasn't a very healthy adult, had chronic fatigue syndrome for a while, fibromyalgia for a while, which turned into something else recently, which that's a totally different story. Um, but I'd had a lot of lung issues, so I was always having bronchitis and pneumonia, and thought I was just tired. I was just tired. And coping routines, scripting things out, realizing that, okay, it was just going to take me an hour to write this email, even though it was only like 3 sentences. You know, I'm sure you all can figure out. I mean, there is so much going on that my brain right now is just spinning with all these examples. And I'm sure some of them will come out in some of the future videos where it'll like click in. But I was just exhausted, coping, trying to find things that work. I have what I recently found out is I call it object impermanence because if I don't see it, it doesn't exist. So I realized that I needed things in front of me where I can see it so I don't forget that they're there. I had made concessions. One of the things that I did, and this might help some of you if you have ADHD, um, I have, like I said, I have a little touch of OCD. So, one of the things that was burning me out in my 20s and in my early 30s was I was trying to maintain my house and I didn't like a dirty kitchen. I didn't like um, stuff all over the place, even though I was always keeping stuff all over the place. So it was this constant fight that I was having within me. That's where the flylady.net helped because it would give me little behavior things that I could use to help keep the house clean. But it got to the point where I was just so tired that I actually had to make um, concessions with myself, and I had to compromise with myself for my own sanity. So I decided that I was going to have um, my non negotiables to satisfy the OCD part of me, but I needed to let things go. And again, through flylady.net, that helped me, I guess, reprogram my brain in order to do that. So I wasn't so obsessed at how this looked and how that looked and how all that stuff. So my concession to myself was number one, my non negotiable was dishes in the sink. I do not like dishes in the sink. I hate dishes in the sink, and it causes me great anxiety when there's dishes in the sink. So since that was the worst, I'm like, okay, that's my non-negotiable. And the things that I can let go is I just have to resign myself that I am not gonna have a clean house. I will not be a slob. I will not leave food, and I couldn't handle that. My OCD would just not allow that. Anything that would um, you know, make me embarrassed to be an adult, that wasn't gonna fly. So that was again the non-negotiables. So I was just gonna be messy, and I was gonna live in a cluttered space, and that worked for a while, and it still works. So as you can see, I am using a green screen. You can see I disappear a little bit every once in a while, um, because behind me is my office, which is absolutely chaotic. And I've gotten to the point where it needs to change, but I don't know how to do that yet. But we'll get there. We'll get there. That'll be in a separate video. But um, the the compromises that I made for myself, it actually started to work. And then I can just pretend that I was normal outside of my house. And luckily, my husband was very supportive, and he tried to help where he could. But again, he's neurotypical, but it doesn't bother him. Mess doesn't bother him. So it was just something we dealt with, and we've been married now, going on 27 years. Yeah. Wow. 27 years. Yeah. Um, and it's kind of worked. We don't have a lot of people over our house. We don't have a lot of family over our house. We live in a pretty, it's a small river town, but there's a lot of people and there's not a lot of parking. So we don't really have people coming over. We don't entertain. So it's just been our life. We've just dealt with it. And I pretended everything was okay. And I guess that would be considered masking, which is something that I've been doing for a really long time. So again, um, there's a lot of things that I had to figure out myself. I didn't have any, I didn't have an active therapist. We couldn't afford that. So I just coped. We just figured it out. We figured it out together. And again, I'm going back to my notes. Sorry about that. Going back to my notes. So I think one of the biggest issues, and some of you who are here are probably about the same age as me. I will be 56 this year. And, you know, we Gen Xers, when you had, when you daydreamed in class, or if you weren't really good at homework, and would get lots of detentions because you lost your homework or something didn't happen or whatever, they they just figured that you were lazy, or the teachers felt like you were just a daydreamer and you weren't going to apply yourself, so you kind of got lost. You got lost. You slipped through the cracks and you kind of white knuckled your way through school. I did that my senior year. Something clicked and I was doing good in a few of my classes, like made the honor roll for the very first time. Don't know how that happened because I was pretty much a C student. Um, but I guess my brain was maturing. So, but we Gen Xers, those of us who are in our late 40s and our 50s, we were just screw ups, I guess is how people thought of us. Nobody was diagnosing anybody, or especially women, not diagnosing anybody with ADHD because that was a boy's disease. And, we were all just dismissed. And I had problems with friends because I was always too much for people. Um, I just had a really hard time, as far as like boyfriends as I was growing up as a teenager. They never lasted more than 3 months. I never knew why. I just thought I wasn't good at it. I was no good. Nobody wanted me. I couldn't do anything right. All of that. And I'm sure if you are my age, you felt the same way. Um, because we just were not treated the same way. And it was really lonely growing up in the 70s and the 80s as a woman, especially if you were having a really hard time um, figuring out life and social situations and school and structures and all of that. Um, and we were the generation. Here's a little quote that I have on my thing. We were the generation that was told just to get on with it. And so we did. Not really noticing what that cost would be. So that's kind of what leads me to um, where I am now. Now, I had this one line. This is kind of cool. So, if you're like me, and I'm sure there are people out there just like me, you just figured out how to get around. You figured out how to make life work somehow. It wasn't perfect, it was exhausting, but somehow it was working. You may have achieved something, you may have gotten a job that you really liked, you may have struggled a little bit, and maybe you were successful. Maybe you kicked butt at your job, but all of a sudden, something shifts. Now, could it be burnout? I don't know. But for me, now in my 50s, when things shifted, something that made my ADHD years feel like they were absolutely the most manageable thing that I've ever done in my life. Because right now, way different, way different. So, menopause hit, and I wasn't sure. I didn't know what was happening. All I knew is that all of a sudden I couldn't do things. And not only that, but I started doubting who I was. The stress of hitting that certain age basically, and I think it probably started in my late 40s, like probably during perimenopause. Now, I don't think I had perimenopause for very long. It wasn't like one of those, I think some people cannot be in perimenopause for like, 10 years or something like that. I think mine was only like maybe 5 years. Um, but I noticed things started going downhill. And then I basically lost myself. And I didn't know why, but all I saw was everything falling apart. Everything was dismantling around me. I couldn't, I was even worse at keeping a house. Now my house looks like the inside of my brain, which is not pretty. Not pretty. I'm gonna figure that out. Gonna figure out. Like I said in the intro video, we're gonna work this out together. Because I'm in it with you. I'm totally in it, and I'm trying to figure things out. But Now, that being said, I just want to basically leave this video here, um, because I could go on a ramble. It's, my brain isn't 100% right now. Um, it's been a long weekend. So I just wanted to give you kind of an idea of what led me to to where I am right now and why this channel exists and what I hope to do with this. Um, and I'm hoping that there are um, women out there who are struggling with just an absolute dismantling of your life now that you've entered perimenopause or menopause, and especially those of us who are neurodivergent. I will get into more of this. Is probably going to be a series of maybe like, I don't know, 3 videos, because I don't want to have these really super long videos. Um, but I want you to know me and I want you to know where I'm coming from and why I'm doing this. Now, I mentioned in the intro video that I'm coming at this, or I'm trying to um, come at this from a perspective of um, the woman I was trying to become before menopause hit. I am actually a certified life coach. I am an energy practitioner, and I'm trying to reclaim that part of me because I kind of lost it in the chaos. So when the darkness came over me a few years ago, that got obscured, and I'm trying to bring that back. And I want, um, you know, all of you guys who are kind enough to watch these videos, um, to join me on this journey. And I hope that the skills that I had, um, you know, put the effort in gaining before all of this happened can come into the, what's the word? Mix. See, I told you I'm not good with words. And maybe as I try to help myself reclaim myself and to get um my ducks in a row instead of all over the pond, that maybe I can help you. So, like I said, I'm going to get to the next part of the story in the next video. I'm going to hope to record another one this week. So keep an eye out. Um, but in the meantime, leave a comment below. Let me know where you're at. Where 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 have you felt like things have gotten dismantled? Is your story similar to mine? Is Were you diagnosed with one thing and then something changed again and you don't know what's going on? I've realized I'm self-diagnosed autistic, because one of the things that I did as things were dismantling is I went on a deep dive of research to try to figure me out. And I've gotten to the point where I'm about halfway up the mountain. And now I want to find people to walk with me up to the top of the mountain. And maybe we can all help each other. So I hope this video made sense. Like I said, I'm not very good at talking. A lot of times I lose my words and I have a lot of things going on here. Because the one thing I have noticed since I hit perimenopause and menopause is my ADHD is ridiculously overwhelming. It is running the show in and not in a good way. So yeah, so, like I said, I'm going to leave this video here. I hope it makes a little bit of sense. I hope you get to know me a little bit more. Leave a comment below and let me know where you're at. If any of this resonates with you, if there's any topics even that you want me to talk about, because I do have a little bit of a plan to go through and to get us to a point where maybe we can start helping each other out on levels beyond just, hi, I'm V, maybe we can, combine forces and help each other out. Um, so yeah, if you like this, if you're intrigued, leave a like, subscribe, and if you want to hit that notification bell, you will know when I upload videos. I am going to try my best to do a video every week. I can't 100% promise that because I have days where I intend to, and then life happens and I lose everything. So maybe it'll be once every 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm gonna try to do once a week. I promise. That's what I'm gonna try to do. And I hope you join me up this mountain uh, to see if we can get to the other side. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this. I will see you in the next one. So, bye. This is me signing off for the very first video of Spells, Spoons, and Alchemy. And I hope you stick around with me. And I hope we see you next time. Bye for now.